Do not regret what you have done. Miyamoto Musashi, 8 words, simple, brutal, perfect. Think about that for a second. A man who fought more than 60 duels, who walked the edge between life and death repeatedly, wrote that line in his final teachings, The Way of Walking Alone. Musashi wasn't writing from comfort or from the safety of hindsight. He wrote as a man who carried scars on his body, blood on his hands, and the weight of survival in a violent age. If anyone had reason to look back and feel sorry, it was him. He had killed, he had lost people, he had lived through betrayal and hardship. Yet, he didn't give regret a place in his philosophy. Why? Because regret doesn't fix a thing. Regret reopens old wounds and leaves you bleeding in the present. Now pause and be brutally honest with yourself. How much of your life is already chained to regret? The job you didn't take, the argument you keep replaying at 2 a.m., the goodbye you never gave, the message you never sent, the years you think you've lost. And today, regret is not only private. It has new power. It's amplified, magnified. Social media rewinds our lives like a never-ending highlight reel of what could have been, a montage of missed chances and brighter, shinier versions of everyone else. Every scroll is a whisper. If only you had started earlier, if only you had chosen differently, if only you had been smarter, faster, braver. And here's the cruel irony. Those whispers aren't accidental. The platform even profits from them, because regret keeps you scrolling, chasing the life you think you missed. But the piercing truth is this: regret is wasted energy. It cannot rewrite history. It cannot unmake choices. It cannot undo what is already sealed. All it does is steal from the one place where life actually happens, the present, the only place where action, repair, and growth are still possible. This is why Musashi calls regret poison, not because mistakes don't count, but because clinging to them blinds you to what comes next. Regret isn't memory, it's captivity. So the question we face, and the question that turns philosophy into practice, is this: how do we live without regret in a world that insists we remember every misstep? Philosophical exploration. To answer that, we step into Musashi's world. He was not a philosopher sitting in a quiet study, surrounded by scrolls and lamps. He was a warrior, a man whose philosophy was written not in ink alone, but in the clash of steel, in the silence before a duel, in the seconds where life and death balanced on the edge of a blade. In that world, hesitation was fatal. Imagine standing across from an opponent, their sword ready to strike. In that instant, the past tries to creep in. Last time I should have moved sooner. I shouldn't have exposed my flank. I missed my chance. That flicker of memory, that hesitation, is all it takes. Your opponent does not hesitate. They strike, and you fall. For Musashi, regret was not an abstract poetic sorrow. It was a weapon turned against you. Regret clogs the mind with what-ifs, and a clogged mind moves too slowly. To survive, Musashi had to be utterly present. No shadows of yesterday, no fantasies of tomorrow, only the strike, the movement, the now. And this is where his wisdom converges with other traditions across time. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who wrote Meditations, cautioned against wasting our lives in mental replay. Do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others, he wrote, urging us to keep the mind clear for what we can control, the present moment. The Stoic discipline was not about ignoring mistakes, but about refusing to be imprisoned by them. Epictetus, once a slave and later a teacher of emperors, sharpened this truth further. He taught that the only things truly under our control are our judgments and our actions now. The past, by definition, lies beyond our reach. To dwell on it is to lose twice, first to the original mistake, then to the regret that replays it endlessly. Buddhism echoes the same insight, but speaks in a different rhythm. The Buddha taught that clinging to people, to things, to memories, is the root of suffering. Regret is one of the subtlest forms of clinging, a hand grasping at something already gone. The cure offered through mindfulness is the practice of returning again and again to presence. You notice the replay beginning, the if-only thoughts spinning, and then you return to the breath, to the step, to the task at hand. Seneca, another Stoic voice, stripped the lesson down to its sharpest edge. What is the point of dragging up sufferings that are over? That is regret in one sentence, voluntary self-torture. The wound already cut you once, why pick at it and bleed again? But here's the twist of modern life. Regret is no longer just private. It is public, amplified, and performed. You are not only haunted by your own memories, you are haunted by the curated memories of others. Every feed you scroll becomes a mirror of missed chances. The graduate whispers, "I should have studied something else." The parent lies awake at night thinking, "If only I had been there more." The entrepreneur watches someone younger succeed and says, "Why not me? Why didn't I start sooner?" Regret in this digital age has been industrialized. Algorithms are designed to feed you comparisons, to stir the ache of what could have been, to keep you hooked on stories that are not even your own. And yet, Musashi's principle slices cleanly through both the ancient battlefield and the modern screen. Regret is a sunk cost. No matter how deeply you feel it, it cannot buy back a single moment. Every second spent in regret siphons energy from what you can change. You cannot retype yesterday's words, but you can choose today's. You cannot undo last year's failures, but you can decide how to act this hour, this breath, this strike. This is why Musashi's teaching is not about carelessness. It is about responsibility. Real responsibility is not endless self-punishment. It is not staring backward while life passes you by. Real responsibility is looking directly at the mistake, taking the lesson and then releasing it. Because regret without action is weakness. But learning without regret, that is freedom. Practical application, make this real. Philosophy matters only if it changes behavior. Words without practice are just decorations on thought. Musashi didn't write for ivory towers. He wrote for warriors who could die in the space of a single hesitation. His wisdom is meant to be lived. Below are 6 practices, fully described with examples and micro-routines to make Musashi's principle part of your daily work. Each one is a blade, simple, practical, deadly against regret. 1. Reframe regret into a single lesson. Quote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." Seneca. Why it works. Regret freezes the mind. Lessons move it forward. Regret says, "I'm stuck." A lesson says, "I move differently now." When you treat a mistake as a teacher, it becomes a resource, not a chain. How to do it? Micro-routine. 1. When you catch yourself replaying a mistake, stop. Name it out loud. Okay, I'm replaying this. 2. Ask one question. What single useful thing did I learn from this? 3. Write one concrete lesson, one sentence, and one action that follows from it. Example, missed a deadline that cost trust on a project? Lesson, I need clearer time buffers and earlier check-ins. Action, schedule a weekly buffer review and a 48-hour early check on the next deadline. Another example, personal. You regret not telling a friend how much they mattered before losing contact. Lesson, I let pride block simple honesty. Action, send one message today to someone you've been avoiding. Pitfall to avoid. Don't write essays of self-blame. Don't list 10 complaints. One lesson, one action. Precision makes the sword cut. 2. Do a weekly regret audit. Quote, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus. Why it works. Writing externalizes regret. Thoughts that haunt you shrink when put on paper. The audit converts memory into movement, from corrosion to correction. How to do it. Template. Take 10 to 15 minutes every Sunday evening. Column A, regret, name the event briefly. Column B, lesson, one line. Column C, immediate action, the single next step you will take this week. Example entry, regret, didn't call my mother on her birthday. Lesson, I lose track of personal dates. Action, add birthdays to calendar plus set a monthly reminder. Another example, career, regret, froze up in a presentation. Lesson, anxiety rises when unprepared. Action, Rehearse the next presentation twice with a colleague beforehand. Why short actions matter. Small repeatable acts break the habit of rumination. The audit turns replaying into repairing. A page of regrets is useless. A page of lessons is a map. 3. Train immediate recovery, apology and fix protocol. Quote, "Do nothing that is of no use." Musashi. Why it works. Regret amplifies when you do nothing. Silence grows into guilt. Immediate corrective action halts the spiral. How to do it? 3-step protocol. 1. Admit. Say what happened briefly. No long self-flagellation. I missed the deadline on the report. 2. Apologize. A short, sincere statement. I'm sorry, that was my mistake. 3rd act. Present a fix or mitigation and a timeline. I'll deliver the corrected version by Tuesday and set progress updates. Sample line for relationships. I'm sorry I shut down yesterday. That wasn't fair. Can we talk tonight at 8? Workplace sample. I didn't reply to the client email yesterday. That was my oversight. I've drafted the response and will send it within the hour. Why this kills regret. Action replaces rumination. You shift from passive guilt to active repair. Instead of drowning in "I should have," you stand in "Here's what I'm doing now." 4. Mortality reset. A 2-minute morning practice. Quote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." Marcus Aurelius. Why it works. Mortality resets compress the weight of trivial regrets and sharpen focus on what matters. When you remember the fragility of time, regret looks absurd. How to do it daily. Each morning before you check your phone, 1. Sit for 60 to 120 seconds, breathe. 2. Repeat silently, "If today were my last day, what matters?" 3. Choose one priority for the day that aligns with that answer. Example, if reconciliation with a friend matters more than a petty email thread, prioritize the call. If finishing your book matters more than scrolling, set 1 hour aside for writing before work. Caveat, this is not morbidity, it's sharpening. It forces alignment. If life is short, then why waste today dragging old chains? 5. From comparison to creation, start today, not yesterday. Quote, "Step by step, walk the 1,000-mile road." Musashi. Why it works. Comparison is regret's fuel. Creation dissolves it. You can't outscroll envy, but you can outwork it. The only cure for "I should have started earlier" is "I start now." How to do it? 30-day creation challenge. Pick a small, meaningful project. Write 300 words daily. Practice an hour of craft. Record 1 short video a week. Commit 30 consecutive days, even if imperfect. Measure. Total output at day 30 beats perfect planning forever. Example. You regret not starting YouTube years ago. Fine. Start today. Post a 2-minute video with your phone. Imperfect but real. 1 piece shared beats 100 in your head. Another example. You regret not saving money earlier. Start now. Open an account. Put $10 in today. The road begins with 1 step, not 1 sigh. Why small matters. Small starts weaken the fear of being behind. Momentum, not comparison, is the antidote. 6. Daily reflection without self-punishment. Quote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Epictetus. Why it works. Reflection is how you avoid repeating patterns, but it must be constructive, not punishing. Regret is endless. Reflection is purposeful. How to do it nightly journal. 3 lines max. 1. What I did well today. 1 achievement, however small. 2. What I learned. 1 lesson. 3. 1 thing I will do differently tomorrow. 1 actionable change. Replace "I should have" with "next time I will." Test language matters. Words carve grooves in thought. Rewire guilt into growth. Bonus. Once a month, review these nightly notes. Look for patterns. Do you keep regretting the same thing? That's not shame. That's data. Treat it as a signal. This is where real change is needed. Putting it together. a 21-day no-regret experiment. If you want to turn theory into transformation, try this free, simple experiment. Week 1, awareness. Do a daily morning mortality reset plus nightly reflection. Just notice how often regret appears, no action beyond noticing. Week 2, convert. Start the weekly regret audit and apply one immediate recovery protocol each time a real fixable regret appears. Week 3, build. Begin the 30-day creation challenge and keep the nightly journal. When regret rises, use the single lesson reframe. By day 21, you'll see two truths. 1. Regrets that repeat are the ones you can act on. They reveal patterns. 2. Most regrets are smaller than they felt. The monster in your head shrinks when dragged into daylight. That's the practice. That's how you stop dragging chains and start sharpening your blade in the present. Conclusion. The choice in front of you. Regret seduces you with the false promise of control. Replay enough, and maybe you'll change the past. But you won't. Replaying the tape only steals present seconds you will never get back. Musashi's point, blunt and true, is that a warrior cannot carry heavy baggage into the next fight. A person cannot carry heavy baggage into the next life chapter. So remember, regret is wasted energy. Learn from mistakes. Act to fix what you can, then let the rest go. That is not evasion. That is discipline. Musashi leaves you with his clear command, do not regret what you have done. Now the question lands with the weight of a sword in your hand, but without a blade. Will you keep replaying the past like a broken record, sticky with the same scratches and the same sorrow? Or will you stand up, step forward, and make the next move lighter, sharper, unchained? The choice is yours. Musashi gave the advice. The rest is practice.